everybody, welcome back to Maths. We are going to continue on with expanding our short division knowledge in our maths today. Now there is a wide range of abilities that I've noticed on this math topic, and it can be quite difficult, but it's really important for you to judge where you are at. If you feel like you're struggling with your short division, please go back to the beginning video. Please just rewatch the beginning video, because there isn't any point moving on to dividing 3-digit numbers if we haven't quite grasped the 2-digit numbers. So go back to Monday's videos. Look through them again, work through the activities. But those of you that are still confident with this, we are going to move on. So what I want you to do is, just in your head, I want you to guess my number. Now I'm thinking of a number. I subtract 25 from that number and then add 2. I then multiply that number by 2, and my answer is 54. Which number did we start with? So have a think about that. You think of a number, you're going to take away 25 and then add 2. You're then going to multiply it by 2, and your answer is going to be 154. What is your number? So a good place to start is to actually start with this number and work backwards. So we start with 154, because we're going to do the inverse. So we start with the answer. Actually, a good place to start might be to write this as a number sentence. So let's think. So we're thinking of a number. That's a mystery number, and that equals, so that mystery number, take away 25, then add 2, and then we're going to take that answer, multiply it by 2, and your answer is going to be 154. We've got that there. Yeah? So we need to start with our answer and work our way back. Okay, so let's start with 154. So this is multiplied by 2. We're going to do the inverse of that, so that's going to be divided by 2. And then, instead of adding 2, we're going to take away 2, and then we're going to add 25. So let's break this down even further. Let's get our 154, and let's just divide it by 2. Now some of you will be able to do that in your head. Some of you might want to follow a more formal method here. So how many 2's go into 1? None. So we carry that over. How many 2's go into 15? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So I know that is 7, but I haven't got to 15 yet. I need one more to get to 15. So that's what I carry over this time. 2's into 14, we know goes 7. So we know half of this number is 77. So we've got this bit is 77. Now I'm going to do 77, take away 2, add 25. 77, take away 2, is going to be 75. I'm going to add that, I'm going to add 25 to 75, and do that in my head, and I get the number 100. So this is the number that we think that we start with. So let's go back. Let's think of a number. Our number is 100. We're going to take our 100. I'm going to do it really small at the top. I'm going to take my 100. I'm just going to do the notes. I'm going to take away 25. So I've got 75. I'm going to add 2. And I'm going to get 77. And I'm going to multiply 77 by 2. I'm going to get 70 multiplied 2 is 140. 7 multiplied by 2 is 14. Add them together, 154. So we have worked that out. We've used our inverse, and then we've gone back and checked. So what I want you to do is, can you have a go at this one? So I'm thinking of a number. I'm going to add 15 and multiply it by 2. I'm then going to divide it by 2. My answer is 16. What is my number? Pause the video and let's work it out. So have a think. What can we do? I've got a mystery number and I'm going to add 15. I'm going to multiply it by 2. I'm then going to divide it by 2. My answer is 16. Now, I've already spotted if I'm going to multiply something by 2 and then divide it by 2, that's just the same as doing nothing. That's like adding 1 then taking away 1. Or adding 2 and taking away 2, because our multiply and our divide are inverse. So I can just think of a number, add 15, and I get a 16. So my number was 1. 1 add 15 is 16, times by 2 is 32, I believe. Divided by 2 is 16. Well done if you got that. We've got one final one here. I'm thinking of a number. I divide that number by 2. I add 98 to that number. My answer is 100. What is my number? Pause the video, work it out. So, thinking of a number. I'm going to divide it by 2. I'm going to add 98. And that's going to equal 100. So what I can do is do my inverse. So my 100, I'm going to take away 98, and that's going to equal 2. Now, instead of dividing by 2, I'm going to multiply it by 2. 2 multiplied by 2 equals 4. My answer should be 4. Let's check it in our heads. 4 divided by 2 is 2, add 98 is 100. Well done if you got those. So there's some really good ways. If we can do that in our head, that is brilliant. It's a good little warm-up for us. So what I want to do is I just want to quickly go over, I'm going to speed through this. Oops, apologies. And hopefully, oh no, won't let me take that away. Just want to go over the quick method. So that shouldn't not going to work. No, so when I wrote it out wrong. 225 divided by 4 is what it should say, not 224 divided by 25. So here we go. 225 divided by 4. How many 4s go into 2? So I'm counting up in my 4s. Will I ever get to 2? I won't, because 4 is bigger than 2. So how many 4s are now in 22? Because I couldn't do this one, I don't just leave it, I use it again, and I make it into 22. 24s in 22. So I know that there are 5 4s in 20. There are 5 4s in 20. And that will give me 20. I've got 2 left over. How many 4s are in 26? I know the closest I can get is 24. And that equals 6. But actually I needed 25, so I've got 1 left over. Well done if you got that. Here we go. 235 divided by 5. 235 divided by 5. How many 5s go into 2? 5 is bigger than 2, so I know it's not going to go in there. So what I do is I just carry that over. How many 5s are in 23? Now we've just done that calculation. We did how many 4s are in 20, and that was 20. How many 5s are in 23? There are 4, and that gives us 20. So there are 3 left over because we got to 20, but we need to get to 23. So that gives us there. That's the 3 left over from the 23. How many 5s in 35? There are 7. So the answer is 47. Well done if you followed that. If not, please watch yesterday's videos because we are going to move on a little bit for today. So what we're going to do is, we've got a question here. There are 4,884 crayons and they come in packs of 4. How many packs are there? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw out I'm going to place my 4,884 crayons into this place value grid. So let's have a look. I've also wrote it using a short division method. So I've put my counters in. So I've got 4 ones, I've got 8 tens, I've got 8 hundreds, and I've got 4 thousands. Please feel free to draw this out if you need to. And we've also got it written over here. 4 ones, 4 tens, 4 hundreds, 4 thousands. So what I need to do, because I'm looking at packs of 4, I need to be grouping all of mine into groups of 4. So our first calculation over here is how many 4s are in 4. How many groups of 4 can I make out of this 4? I can make 1 group of 4. So that square becomes there. Now I'm doing how many groups of 4 can I make out of 8? Have a think about it. How many 4s are in 8? So we have 2. We have 4, 8. So guess what? Over here, we're going to have our 2 groups of 4. Now if we almost zoom into here, we've got 4 multiplied by 2 equals 8. 4 multiplied by 1 equals 4. So we have how many 4s are going to go into 8? 2. Well done. And then how many 4s are in the final 4? Well done if you got 1,221. That's how many packs. So what I want you to do is I want you to pause at this one. I want you to, even if you can do it with the short division method, I would like you to model the number using our place value and then work out how many groups of 3 are in each of these columns. Off you go. Pause. So here we go. I've laid out my numbers here. I've got my 6 ones, I've got my no 10s, I've got my 300s, and I've got my 9,000s. How many groups of 3 am I going to make in this first column? I'm of course going to make 3, because 3 multiplied by 3 equals 9. How many groups of 3 have I got in my hundreds? I have, of course, got 1 group of 3, because 3 times 1 is 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. We know we've got nothing in this column, so we can just put a 0 over here. And in our 1s we have 6. I know that's 3 times 2 equals 6. So I've got my 2 here. Well done if you got that. Again, pause the video. Let's work this out. First I want you to represent it. Then we're finding how many groups of 2 go in each of these numbers. Unpause the video when you've had a go. So I've got my 4 ones, 2 tens, 300 and 4 thousands. 4,321. I'm dividing it by 2. How many groups of 2? So let's have a look. I've got 1 group of 2, another group of 2. And over here, how many 2s are in 4? There are, of course, 2. Well done. Now, sometimes we're going to come to this. We can see that 3 is an odd number. And we divide them by 2, and we know that odd numbers can't be divided by 2. So we have a look. How many groups of 2? We've got 1 group of 2. So that 1 goes there. But we cannot forget this. We cannot forget it. What can we do? Well done if you thought about exchanging. We can exchange that 100 for how many tens? 10 tens. Well done. Right, now we've got 2 columns, 2 even columns, so we can easily do how many? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So now we're doing 12 divided by 2 is, of course, 6. Now, we can see this 1 has appeared here. What does that mean? this one represents the amount of hundreds, in this case, that didn't fit into a group of 2. Now, if we were doing groups of 5, all 3 of these wouldn't fit into a group of 5, so I would have over here a 3. That is just how many don't fit into that group and how many we're exchanging. Hopefully that was clear. So let's go over to our ones. How many 2s are in 4? There are, of course, 2. Well done if you managed to work through this. This is going to be fundamental to moving on. Now, if you don't quite understand this, please re-watch this bit again. It's really, 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 really important. So, if you think you understand it, prove it. Show me with this. I've drawn it out for you. Pause the video, have a think. Draw a little pause. There. Okay, so you've had a go. Let's have a look. So, first thing, I'm going to look at my thousands. I'm doing how many, no, it just wants to zoom in. How many 5s go into 6? How many groups of 5 can I get inside of 6? I can, of course, get at least 1. So put 1 down. How many don't fit in? 1. So we know that that one there is going to go down there in a second. But before we move that across, what do we need to do with this? Because we're not just going to ignore it. We are, of course, going to exchange 1,000 for 10 hundreds. Because saying 1000 is the same as saying 1,000. And that's where that one goes in. That one is representing 10 hundreds. So how many 5s are now going to go in these 11 hundreds? We get our 100 plus the 10. We know that we've got a group of 5 and a group of 5. So there's 2 groups of 5. And there's our 2. We can see that over here. So we've got one that doesn't quite fit in. What happens with that? Of course, that exchanges into 10 10s, and we represent that over here with a little 1. Let's watch it in action. 10 10s, and we've got our 1. So now, what are we doing? We're doing how many 5s go into 11 again? We've got one group of 5, another group of 5, so it's 2 groups of 5, but of course, we've got our 1 that doesn't fit in, and we represent that over here with that little 1. And that's just going to show us that actually one of these blocks of 10 has been exchanged for 10 ones. So now we've got 15 ones. How many sets of 5 go into 15 ones? 5, 10, 15. There are 3. Well done if you followed this far. I really think it's really worthwhile going through this as many times as you can. If you're a little bit stumped by it, please go through it as many times as you want. Now, I wasn't sure if I was going to add this question in, but I think if you're not sure, please skip this section of the video. But I wanted to add it in because it's not too much different to what we've been doing. You'll notice that we have a decimal here. All I do is I put my decimal in exactly the same place. I'm keeping my boxes all lined up, and the really important bit is going to be our place value. So 3s into 7. How many 3s go into 7? 3, 6. There are, of course, 2. How many were left over? There was 1 left over. Well remembered. How many 3s go into 12? 3, 6, 9, 12. 4. Well done. Now, we've got our decimal place in the exact same position. How many 3s go into 9? 3, 3, 6, 9, and then 3, 6, 9. It's as simple as that. The biggest issue here is keeping that decimal the same. Now, that's not the focus of our lesson. I thought I'd add it in here for those of you that are a little bit more confident with this. But we were really just focusing on the process of the short division. So if it helps, just do this calculation without the decimal place. But I thought I'd introduce it to you. So one skateboard we know is £24.33. Well done. Oh, here we go. We've got a question like this. How can we work this question out? First thing that I would do is I would draw my number out. What I know of my main number here. Oh no, it's jumped for some reason. My main number, I know I've got 9,400 and 2 tens at the minute. I know that I've got 3 groups of something. So I need to make, how many groups of 3 are in 9? So, I'm going to make groups of 3. How many groups of 3 are there? There are 3, so I must be dividing by 3. So let's have a think. Now we know that I'm dividing by 3. How many groups of 3 can I make out of 4? I can, of course, make 1. Now here's the tricky bit. We've got to remember that this is actually going to be a 12. Why is it going to be a 12 there? Because of this. Remember, we need to exchange that 100 because it didn't fit into a group into 10 tens. Yeah, so really we're looking now, how many 3's going to 12? There is, of course, 4. Now we can work out how many ones we've got. It is, of course, going to be 3 groups of 3. Well spotted. That is 9. I really hope that made sense. It's going to be a really important point of furthering our learning and making sure our learning is really solid. So what I want you to do is just to have a go at some of these questions. It's a lot of our fluency practice. Pause the video. Actually, I'll probably provide these as a PDF, and I have an extension question for you on the next slide, which I'll quickly show you. We have these questions here. For me, what I would do is I would lay them out in my little, in this case it's just hundreds, tens, ones. Yeah, lay it out and work it out a little bit like this. Oh no, we do have our thousands. Hundreds. We have thousands, hundreds, tens, ones. Lay it out. Actually, I'm not going to show you how to do it because this is if you're feeling really confident. I don't want to take that learning away from you. So I really want you to just become really confident with this. If it means you rewatch yesterday's video, if it means you rewatch Monday's video, that's absolutely fine. You need to do what you can to answer these questions.